So, I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special.
Say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, dude, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion.
Hey man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes, but this and this.
Many fighters admit that Terence Crawford is one of the most intimidating opponents in boxing today, and the reasons go far beyond just his record. His calmness inside the ring is unnerving. He studies every move, reacts with precision, and never looks rattled. Roy Jones Jr. even pointed out that during a face-off, Canelo himself appeared uneasy just standing across from Crawford. What makes Crawford so dangerous isn't only his technical skill, but the way he makes opponents pay for even the smallest mistake. Once he lands clean, his timing and accuracy leave rivals feeling trapped, with little hope of finding a path to victory.
And that stare down that we talked about when I told you either he's not ready for this or he trying to Bud. He wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud. And Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you got a problem.
Paulie Malignaggi praised Terence Crawford for building one of the most extraordinary resumes in modern boxing. He emphasized that Crawford became an undisputed champion in 3 different weight classes, an achievement rarely seen in today's sport. What impressed Paulie wasn't just the victories themselves, but the manner in which Crawford secured them, dominating top-tier opponents while taking minimal damage and rarely being caught clean. With a flawless record of 41 wins, 31 knockouts, and 0 losses, Malignaggi described Crawford's career as truly historic. He noted that Crawford's recent triumph over Canelo wasn't just another win, but a defining moment that felt like the beginning of a new era. In Paulie's view, Crawford has now emerged as the standout figure of this generation, much like Floyd Mayweather once was in his time.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather, and how that would be. Because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation. I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible. Really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we going to do, you know? It'll be up to the fantasy fights, you know? But let's get into it, man. I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very, very well, very, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly at the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they barely moved.
Brian reflected on how remarkable it was to watch Terence Crawford take on Canelo, emphasizing that it's rare to see such a perfect balance of offense and defense in today's boxing. Usually, a fighter leans heavily on one strength while exposing weaknesses elsewhere, but Crawford displayed mastery in both areas. Throughout the bout, he not only shut down Canelo's offense with tight defense and slick movement, but also shifted seamlessly into attack, punishing every mistake. Brian pointed out that this complete skill set is what separates Crawford from most champions. He can neutralize an opponent's strengths while simultaneously building his own momentum. For him, it was truly special to witness a fighter who could avoid danger, yet dominate a world-class rival with such poise and precision.
See, I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So
Yeah.
like I thought like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove,
He looked amazing.
so amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd
looked
go to a
great.
body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem.
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo.
Yeah,
Ever.
he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. His way. And Canelo said it. He goes, I couldn't figure him out,
No,
which is why he probably won't fight him again. In a way.
they'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday, yeah. But so you're gonna get Canelo because the money's in Canelo Crawford, the rematch. I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Andre Ward offered high praise for Terence Crawford, describing him as the most skilled fighter of this generation. Ward, known for his own technical brilliance, pointed out that Crawford's greatest strength lies in his mindset. Once he commits to a goal, he refuses to be denied. In Ward's view, the only way to beat a fighter like Crawford is by inflicting real damage, because strategy alone won't break him. What sets Crawford apart, he explained, is his adaptability. Whether it's switching stances, adjusting tactics mid-fight, or staying composed under pressure, he always finds a way to impose his will. For Ward, Crawford's rise is no accident, but the result of relentless discipline, mental toughness, and an unshakable drive to conquer every challenge.
Somebody that like I can bet the house on is Bud.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them for sure. Me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small? Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes, but this and this,
Yeah.
it's different, man.
Terence Crawford's journey to greatness has always been personal, shaped by the influence of his family. He often recalls how his father predicted that one day he would become an undisputed world champion, planting that belief in him from a young age. On the other hand, his mother was more doubtful, never fully convinced he would reach the top. Instead of breaking his spirit, her skepticism became his motivation. Every time Crawford stepped into the ring, he fought with the determination to prove her wrong. With each victory and every title he captured, he not only fulfilled his father's vision, but also earned his mother's pride. Today, Crawford reflects on that path with pride, knowing his success brought both validation and respect from the people who shaped him most.
My dad used to tell my mom I was gonna be a world champ.
I told him we would be.
How'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to her.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. Can I whoop?
You went out on the street,
Yeah,
what's now Bud Crawford Street,
yeah.
and
The kids
offered
in the
$10 to anyone who can kick my son's
Yeah,
butt.
yep.
And a lot of takers.
Yeah,
no one
kids
can
in
do
the
it.
neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Terence Crawford has been clear about his career choices, especially when it comes to chasing legacy over comfort. He explained that he never aimed to become undisputed at 154 pounds, because in his eyes, the division lacked the kind of competitive fights that truly matter. For Crawford, being undisputed isn't just about collecting belts, it's about doing it against the very best. Instead of settling, he chose to take a bold step toward 168, a weight class filled with bigger names and greater challenges that could elevate his legacy even further. His decision not to move down reflects his confidence and hunger to test himself at the highest level, proving once again that his career is built on risk-taking and ambition, not easy victories.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat, what's his name?
Majimo?
No,
154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bakram.
Bakram.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bakram, they're gonna say, who is Bakram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
What would you name with Fundora though? They gonna...
Without Tim, Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did that. Yeah,
so, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments, just off of pure hate.
Terence Crawford often takes pride in showcasing the championship belts he has earned, not as simple bragging rights, but as a reflection of years of discipline, sacrifice, and perseverance. To him, each title is more than just a trophy. It represents the challenges he overcame, the doubters he silenced, and the battles that shaped his career. When Crawford stands with his belts, it's a reminder to both fans and critics that nothing was given to him. He fought for every ounce of gold on his shoulders. Beyond personal achievement, those belts symbolize inspiration, serving as proof to the next generation of fighters that hard work, belief, and determination can turn dreams into reality.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama house. That's where all my belts at. You know, hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters, some of them, went down. So I see why y'all mad. See why y'all mad. We look at that one right there. This where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate, just congratulate.
Virgil Ortiz Jr., one of boxing's promising young talents, gave Terence Crawford major credit for his latest performance, calling it truly beautiful. Ortiz explained that Crawford has already proven everything he needs to, and no longer has to chase opponents to validate his greatness. In his view, Crawford's legacy is already secure. Hearing such admiration from a hungry up-and-coming fighter highlights just how much Crawford's dominance has inspired the next generation, leaving them in awe of what he has already achieved.
Perfect fight, actually. He neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was gonna look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully, and man, I mean, he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later. But in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Virgil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's gonna do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160, you know, and I think that is definitely a possibility, and you know, that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's gonna do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's kind of nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you gotta do? He's a 3-time undisputed champion. He made some good money. At this point, he's just a free player right now, I guess. He can do whatever he wants.
Terence Crawford's influence on the sport has created what many are now calling the Crawford effect. Fighters across multiple divisions are eager to share the ring with him, knowing that a matchup with Crawford brings both credibility and recognition. Sebastian Fundora, with his towering height and aggressive approach, has already voiced interest in facing him. What's remarkable is that Crawford no longer needs to chase opponents. Fighters are lining up for the chance to prove themselves against him. This role reversal shows just how much power and respect Crawford currently commands in the boxing world.
Effect is in full effect, okay? It's in full effect. Terence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terence Crawford is not a draw. Terence Crawford can't sell. Terence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBA, well, WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar, or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, refused to fight Terence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound for pound king, 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, with a record of 42 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. When Terence Crawford dominated and stopped The Truth, Errol Spence Jr., in July of 2023, Terence Crawford petitioned to move up and fight the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora. Okay? And Sebastian Fundora has zero interest.
O'Shakwe Foster admitted he was taken aback by how effectively Crawford silenced long-standing doubts about his career. For years, critics argued that Crawford hadn't tested himself enough against elite opposition and questioned how he would fare against the very best. But his recent triumphs, especially the victory over Canelo, demonstrated that he could not only compete with top names, but dominate them. Foster noted that Crawford didn't just quiet the skepticism, he raised the bar entirely by proving his greatness on the biggest stage. For him, Crawford's rise is a story of persistence, turning doubt into unquestionable respect.
Yeah, I mean, shit. They definitely doubted, bro. And he told me months ago that he was gonna do that. And he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? They doubted him a lot throughout his career, you know what I mean? Just a lot. And just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters, they've been doubted. You know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. Floyd, they had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosleys, the Trinidad, they all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo-de-woo. You know what I mean? So I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
You think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that Crawford could do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was he was gonna do what he was doing, and then, you know, Terence got hard. He trying to bang it out, especially if he feel played enough. He feel like you feel like you doing something, he gonna come with it tough. So I thought that was gonna be a problem. Like if Canelo landed a punch, he would try to go in the trenches with Canelo. And that's what I would have been scared for him for. But man, that boy stayed sharp all night, man. That boy looked good, man. I can't lie. He looked good. Sure. I was definitely surprised at how smooth, how easy he beat him.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn gave powerful reactions to Crawford's victory over Canelo. Cobbs described the win as a career-defining moment, while Benn went even further, suggesting that Crawford could retire right now and leave the sport on a perfect high note. Benn's remark wasn't criticism, it was admiration, acknowledging how complete Crawford's career already appears. In his view, Crawford has nothing left to prove. Even if he walked away today, his place among the all-time greats would be secure. Together, their words highlight the belief that Crawford's legacy is already carved in stone, regardless of what comes next.
Sail out on that beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
Not everyone fully buys into the idea of Crawford being untouchable. While his win over Canelo was monumental, some analysts caution against declaring him unbeatable. They argue that boxing is full of elite talents who, under the right circumstances, could still pose serious challenges. To them, Crawford's triumph is historic but not absolute. The sport remains unpredictable, and even the greatest can be tested. This outlook is a reminder that while Crawford has reached extraordinary heights, new threats will always emerge. keeping the debate about his true place in history alive.
Of a division, that's not the move. If he goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will be very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weight style we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, look at Crawford's record. He has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. You know, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook. They're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically in the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult to call.
And that wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates. Until next time.